and welcome to our video tutorial for this spiral cat mat that you can see Melba's sitting on now because I'm bribing her with treats. So this is how it goes. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial. Please like, share and subscribe, and we hope to see you soon. Thanks. Okay, Melba. There you go. Good girl. Thanks very much, baby. Okay, so to make this spiral cat mat, for this particular one you'll want 3 different colours. Now this is yarn that I've actually upcycled from a charity store. I found it, it was made up into something and it looked like it had never been worn, and I just unravelled it, and I've got these 3 colours, and I'm pretty sure it's 100% wool. And it's yeah, it's going to be a great upcycled project. So this yarn is definitely bulky. So yeah, I mean you can use any yarn you like. It will just, you know, depend how thick you want your cat mat to be. So I want mine to be nice and warm and thick. So I'm going to use these 3 chunky colours here that I've upcycled. You'll need a crochet hook to correspond to your yarn, and I'm using a 12mm. Some scissors, and a darning needle with a large eye. So you can see Melba on her mat here. And the stitches and techniques that you'll need to know to make this mat are how to make a magic ring, how to double crochet. It's a really good idea if you're familiar with how to increase in the round. That will help you out a lot. The other thing to know is how to create an invisible finishing stitch, and then how to weave in your ends. So it's definitely beginner friendly. It creates this beautiful, you know, warm and interesting mat. So let's get started. Shall we get started, Melba? Yeah, let's go. Okay, so take your colour 1 and make a magic ring. So there's a few different ways to make your magic ring, and that's how I do mine. But if you need to brush up on these techniques, please check out a YouTube video or use, you know, whatever resource you've got available. So we're going to start by, with the colour 1, placing 4 double crochets into our ring. Now we'll chain 2 just to give us some height. And then we want to put 4 double crochets into the ring. So that's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now keep in mind that number 4, because it's going to be a recurring theme throughout. So now we're going to change our colour. So just pull out pull out a long loop so it doesn't get pulled through, and take your colour 2, and then so we're going to add this colour into the ring. So the way I do that is I just insert my hook into the ring. I've got all these tails, leave those out the way. I just pull up a loop into my ring, and then I chain 2 here. That's just for height. Okay. And then just pull on that tail end to make sure it's nice and tight. And you might have to scoot it around next to the other stitches there. And actually chain an extra 1 here. Don't count that first chain. So chain 3 to get the height that you need. And then we're going to put 4 double crochets into the ring using this colour here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so we've got 2 colours in there, and you might just need to move that around a little. Now pull out a loop, a big loop like you did on the last colour, and then you'll take your final colour your third colour, and you'll do the same thing. So just insert your hook, pull up a loop, and then chain 3 here and 3. Pull that tail in, make sure it's nice and tight, scoot yourself around, and then you'll place 4 double crochets with this colour. Your third colour, 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so that's your 3 colours started. Now once again just pull out a big loop, and now using your first colour you'll close the ring. So just close that up, pull your tail, all of your tail ends nice and tight. Okay, so try not to get your yarn tangled as best you can, but you might have to just untangle it every now and again because it might get wrapped around, you know, each colour might kind of wrap around itself, so you'll just have to keep your working strands as separate as you can. Okay, so we're going back to colour 1, which for me was my purple. So insert your hook back into that colour, and you'll see your ring will probably keep coming undone, but you can keep pulling it. You can keep pulling it tight as you move along. Okay, so now we're going to place 2 double crochets in each of the next 4 stitches. Okay, so there's that recurring 4 again. So you've got 12 in total here, 3 sets of 4. So that number 4 is going to keep coming up as we work through. So obviously ignore the chain, and 2 double crochets in each of the next 4 stitches. So we're increasing in the round, kind of as we normally would, but we're just doing it with 3 colours. And 2, and then in that last stitch 2. Okay, and once again just pull out a nice long loop, and then moving on to your second colour, insert your hook into the loop, pull that nice and tight because that will probably have come undone slightly. And actually what I need to do, and actually just be careful of this, because what can happen is you can miss, especially on that last stitch, you can miss. Oh, actually it was fine. Sorry, just ignore what I've just said then. It's just a little bit funny working into that last stitch because it will come a bit loose. Okay, so let's do that again. So coming to the next colour, second colour here, pull your loop tight, and then once again you're doing the same thing. In the next 4 stitches you'll place 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2, and then of course you'll move on and you'll do this for the third colour. So I'm going to finish this colour off camera, and you go ahead and do the same for your grey, or you know, whatever your equivalent of the grey. You'll work 2 double crochets in each of the next 4 purple stitches, and you'll notice, or you know, your first colour stitches, you'll notice that you've got a lot more than 4 stitches, so you're going to have to just do it into the next 4 stitches. Okay, so 8 double crochets. So finish off your second colour, and I'll meet you once I've done my third colour. And actually I've come back. It's probably not fair just to leave you on your own there. So I've come back. Let's do the third colour together. So just tighten up your loop again. So I've pulled out a long loop of my second colour, and that will just stay until we need it again. And then I'm going to put 2 double crochets in each of the next 4 stitches. That's 1 and 2. So I've done it in 2 stitches so far, and then 2 in the 3rd, and then 2 double crochets in that 4th stitch. Okay, so pull out your loop. So you can start to see things gathering a bit of momentum here. So once again, you can just keep pulling on that tail to close it up, and it'll eventually stay closed once you've worked around a little bit longer, a little bit more. Okay, so we're moving on to the first colour again. Now remember that 4. Okay, so what we're going to do, if you're familiar, and like I said at the beginning, you need to be familiar with a normal increase in the round. Okay, so moving on to the next set of 4, but our set of 4, so in this next stitch, put 2 double crochets. And then in the next stitch, place 1 double crochet. So this is what we would normally do if we were increasing in the round with just 1 colour. Okay. Now we need to do that set of 3 4 more times. 4 times total, 3 more times. Okay, so 2 double crochets in the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet, and then 2 in the next stitch, and then 1. So in this case it's just, and because I unraveled, I've got lots of ends joined. Here's my first one. So I'll work those in, those knots in as I go. So that's 1, and then my next one is 2. And then this last one is 1. So you've got 4 sets of that little triplet. Okay. So that's colour 1 on this part of the round. So going on to colour 2, tighten up that loop. So we're going to do the same thing again. So 2, 2 in the next stitch, 1 and 2. There's another knot. 1 in the next stitch, 2 in the next, 1 in the next, 2 in the next, 1 in the next. So once again, in this case, I'm just working to the end of the colour, but that won't always be the case. Okay, so you just need to keep that number 4 in your mind. So 4 sets of this little triplet here will take me right to the end of that colour. Okay, pull out my loop, and then I'm moving around to my third colour, my grey. So just move your ends out the way, coming up to my grey, pull that nice and tight, and once again I need to complete, so you'll see here you've got way too many stitches to complete, you know, to the end of the colour, so you want to count your 4 here. So 2 in that first stitch, and then 1 in the next, and then repeat that 3 more times for a total of 4. That's 2, and then 1, and then 2 more sets. 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and then I think this is my final one. Let's just go back and check. So I need, there's my first set, my second set, my third set, and my fourth set. Okay, pull out your loop, and I've got another knot there, so it's not going to go anywhere. So moving on to colour 1. So continuing to increase in the round. So again, we want a set of 4. So increasing as we normally would, we place 2 in that first stitch, and then in the next 2 stitches we place 1 single crochet. That's 1 and 2. Oops, I only caught one of those loops. Let's get the second loop there, and 2. So we want to complete 3 more of that little set, the 2 1 1. So we're going to do 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 right to the end of this second colour. So I'm going to finish that off camera, so you go ahead and do the same, and I'll meet you for colour number 2. Okay, so just placing my last, oops, oh, it should be a double crochet, my last 2 double crochets in these last 2 stitches, 1 and 2, so that's 4 sets of 2 1 1, and pull out your hook again onto the next colour, and we do just the same thing. Now for this, once again for the second colour, you'll just work right to the end of the third colour. So in the next stitch 2, and then in the next 2 stitches 1 double crochet, 1 and 2. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off these next 3 sets, so you do the same, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so just placing my last double crochet in this little section, pull out my hook, and then I'll do the same for my third colour. So you can see, especially if you're really familiar with increasing in the round, you can see this pattern as it's developing. Now in this third colour, you need to remember to count that those 4 sets, because you've got too many stitches for just what we've been doing, if that makes sense. So you need to count 4 sets here. So the 2 1 1, count 4 sets of that little set of 4. And that's my second. So I've got 2 1 1 2 1 1, and then I've got 2 more of those sets to go. This is 1, and 1, and then 1 more set, 2 in the next, and then 1 each in those last 2, 1 and 2. So especially with this third colour, just go back and check that you've done the right amount of sets of those. You know, it's in this case it's 4, but just make sure you've done 4 sets, 1 2 3 and 4. Okay, so you'll see that this will just continue as so, adding 1 single crochet into, sorry, 1 double crochet into each set. So if we move along to back to the first colour, we're going to put 2 double crochets in that first stitch, and then this time there'll be 3 double crochets to finish off the set. 2 and 3. So you'll work for this first and second colour, you just work to the end of the colours, and then for the third colour you work 4 sets. Okay, so I'm going to let you continue on here, so at least do this next round, and it is definitely wool because it breaks like wool. Okay, so yeah, so I'm going to continue around with this first color, then the second color. So this time it's 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to do 3 more sets here. I'm going to do 4 sets around here, and then I'm going to do 4 sets with my third color. And I'll meet you once I get back around the end, at the end of my third color. Okay, so I've finished that round. There's my third color. So now you can probably see by now how this is going to continue. And then you're just going to continue to do these rounds, adding that 1 double crochet into those sets until you reach the diameter that you want. So I'm going to go for a few more rounds, but let's just start this next round together. So in the previous round it was 2 and then 3 double crochets. Okay, so this round clearly is going to be 2 in the first. It's always 2 in the first. And then this time 4 double crochets. 1 in the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so continue around. Hopefully that's really clear by now what that pattern is. You'll work around again with all 3 colours, and then you'll keep working in that increasing fashion until you get to the diameter that you want for your mat. So keep on going, keep on increasing to wherever you want to increase, and I'll do the same, and we'll come back and we'll finish off together. Okay, so I'm on to my next round now. I'm back to my first colour. So just once again to reiterate this pattern, the first stitch 2 double crochets, and then this time in the next 5 stitches I'll be placing 1 double crochet. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then I'll repeat that 3 more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to keep going around in this next round. I'm still probably a round or 2 away from finishing and getting to the size that I want. So I'm going to keep working around, and you do the same, and I'll catch you shortly. Okay, so once again I'm at the beginning of my next round. So I'm at my first colour. So for this round it's going to be 2 double crochets in that first stitch, and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and do that four times, repeat that sequence 4 times, and in each colour. So I'll meet you once I've done that. Okay, so I'm on this round, and I've actually decided that I'm going to finish on this round. So I'm finishing on the round where I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 double crochets in that set. So I've got the 2 in the first stitch, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've done 1 set there. I'm going to do another set. So this is how you will finish it off. Okay, we're just going to gently taper down the work so we get a kind of a smooth spiral. So this is my second set here. So I'm going to do this next set all in double crochets, just as I did for the first set. That's 2 and 3, 4, 5, and then and 6. And now to start to get our taper, we're going to stick with the same pattern, but we're going to use half double crochets now for the next set. So half double crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull through all 3. Okay, so we're going to do the same pattern, but just with half double crochet. So that's 2 in the first stitch, and then 1 half double crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And then to finish this off, we're going to do single crochets. Okay, so actually no yarn over. So 2 single crochets in that first stitch. So same pattern, we just changed the stitch. And then in each of the next 6 stitches, 1 single crochet. So I'm going to continue on and do that, repeat this same process for all 3 of my colors. So I'm finishing off now. I've made my mat as big as I need it for Melba. So I'm just going to pull that out. And I'm going to go through and finish the other 2 colors doing that same thing. So the first 2 sets are in double crochets, just as before. The third set is half double crochets, and then the final set, the 4th set, is in single crochets. So just as we did, so you get this nice tapered effect as the spiral works around. So finish off your last 2 colors. Now you might be increasing your mat even bigger. So you of course will continue to increase for as long as you want to, and then this is how you would finish off, okay, with this taper. Okay, no matter how many stitches you've got in your set, you still finish off the same way with the same sort of taper. So I'm going to go ahead and do my other 2 colours to finish off and work in that taper, and we'll come back and we'll finish off together. Okay, so I've just finished my 3rd colour there with the taper. So I'm just going to yarn over and pull through on each of my colours and snip off my tail. So onto my first colour, just yarn over and pull through. So I'll do that on each of the colours, and then we've just got our ends to weave in, and we're done. And it's like, it seems like it's kind of complicated when you first look at it, but actually, as you can see, it's really quite simple. But the effect is lovely to get this beautiful spiral 3-colour mat. So I'm going to assume that you know how to weave in your ends. But so with this centerpiece, so you want to pull it quite tight, and then when you weave in your end, and I've had to attach mine back together, you will just make sure that you make that centerpiece nice and tight. So let's do, I might do the grey in the center here. So it's just a matter of weaving in, all of your tail ends. And actually, let's do one up here. So actually, let's bring it back into the back here. So just try to work this out. So it's what I will probably do is I'll probably just let me go back. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to undo that little knot. So I'm actually going to sew a stitch to finish this off. So I've undone my little pull through. I apologize. I'm kind of have changed my mind here of how I'm going to finish this off. So I'm actually going to finish it off with an invisible stitch. And I think that's going to look much better. So I'll show you with the next one as well. So I'm going to actually just sew a little invisible stitch. So I come underneath that last stitch in the other colour. And then I'm going to I come back down through the centre, and hopefully you can see this. I'm getting a few shadows now. And then I come back down through the centre of that first stitch. Okay, and I just sew like that. And look how neatly that finishes off. I apologise, I should have actually mentioned that before. And then this is just going to, so I'm on the front side there, so I'll just need to go back into the underside. And I'm actually going to just weave this through into the purple in the back here. So that's going to finish this off nice and neatly. So let's just do that again with another colour. So we don't need to, so just undo that little knot from where you've pulled through, and then just from that loop just pull the yarn through like this. And then we're going to do that little invisible finishing stitch again, because it's going to make this nice and neat. So coming in underneath that last stitch, or the first stitch in the previous colour, coming through underneath, and then down through the centre of that first stitch, or the last stitch, however you're looking at it. And then you get that beautiful finished edge, and then you'll just weave that into the back. So hopefully that's clear. I apologise, we shouldn't have yarned over and pulled through for those ends. We should have just pulled through and snipped off. But anyway, we got there in the end. So I'm just going to weave this underneath, and you'll go ahead and you'll do that same thing for the next colour. And yeah, look how, I mean, that is perfect. You can't even, like, it's perfect. Perfect way to finish this off. So there's my end through, and I might just come back again. Just don't double back exactly under that same loop. Okay, otherwise it will unravel. So double back again, and then snip off the excess. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that off along those sides, and in this center area here, which is what I was going to say, you can sew across the hole. I'm actually not going to do that. You can sew this hole closed. I'm actually not going to do that. I'm just going to weave in my end nice and securely on all of the ends. Actually, let's ignore that purple for a minute, because it's a little bit messy, because it broke, because I pulled it too tight, because this is wool, and when you pull wool too much, it will just fray like that. So what I'm going to do with, so the grey was my last colour, I'm just going to work around the edge of that circle, so I can secure that off a little bit. But you know, if you've got better ideas of how to finish this off, you can go ahead. But this is how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to tighten up that circle by working around underneath all of the edge of it with each of my colours. And with the purple at the end, I will pull it gently this time. And actually, I mean, I don't even mind that there's a little hole in the centre. That doesn't bother me at all. It might bother you. It actually doesn't bother me. So you want to finish this off however works out for you. So I think that's going to be enough on that grey. And see, I can just kind of drawstring it closed with each of my ends. And then I'm going to do that for all three of those ends. So we'll come back once I've finished all of that, and yeah. Okay, so as you can see, that's closed up that centre nicely. So I'm just going to snip off all of those excess ends. 2 and 3. And I'll just leave those, I'll weave those in after. Those are my little knots that I've had to do in my yarn. Because I've unravelled it, I've had to join my ends of yarn. and snipping off the excess here. So yeah, so there you've finished. Isn't it beautiful? So I would love to see how yours turned out. Please send photos along if you can, if you have some time, to catventurous.community@gmail.com, or you can tag us on social media at catventurous.crochet. So thanks so much for being here. I love this tutorial. I just love how this turns out, the spiral. I think it's really beautiful. It's a lovely warm mat for Melba for the coming winter. So yeah, hope to catch you soon. Thanks very much for being here. Bye. What do you think, honey? You want to have a sit down? Yeah, have a sit down. Good girl. What do you think of it, Melba? It's pretty cool, huh? Yeah, it's pretty cool.